packages with intent to deliver for such a large amount. Esta tarde nuestra unidad de crimen organizada ejecutaron una orden de cateo aquí en esta casa, donde nosotros encontramos aproximadamente 20 kilos de drogas ilegales. Nosotros pensamos que aproximadamente 15 de esos kilos son de metanfetamina, los otros 5 son de heroína. Se aparenta que el sospechoso está revolviendo las drogas juntas, que es algo raro para nosotros, es algo que no vemos mucho, pero es lo que está pasando. Este sospechoso es un hombre en los 40s o 50s, que él es, desafortunadamente para él, es indocumentado. Entonces él ahorita nos lo vamos a llevar para la cárcel, se va a enfrentar con cargos de felonía para esos dos tipos de drogas, pero también ya sabemos que las autoridades federales van a hablar con él por razones obvias. Any questions?
Sheriff, can you talk more about how this house became on your radar and exactly what you can tell us, the process of trying to figure out who was here and what was going on?
Sure. Well, the organized crime group, they concentrate their efforts on anything having to do with organized crime, whether it be narcotics-related cases, gambling-related cases, human smuggling cases, anything having to do with an organization. If anybody has information anywhere in the county, whether it be within one of the incorporated areas, as you know, we're in the city of San Antonio here, so we will operate anywhere in the county. Anybody that's got information to share with us regarding any of those offenses can give us a call, 210-335-GANG. They can also email us at gang@bear.org. And give tips, anonymous tips for where we need to go and concentrate our efforts on. But this organized crime group has been in existence for about 5 years now, and they've been very successful. Just a little while ago, they were briefing me up on a case that we had, I believe it was yesterday, where we, for the first time, have started to encounter a drug called Tusi, which is a designer party type drug in Mexico. Pink cocaine, for lack of a better term, is what it's being called. From what we're seeing in this drug, though, from what we're learning, is there's actually very little, if any, cocaine in it. It's just they're calling it pink cocaine, but it could be any mixture of other drugs, sometimes MDMA, sometimes methamphetamine. Unfortunately, we've also heard of instances where fentanyl makes its way into the mix, but they dye it pink, and then all of a sudden it becomes this designer party drug called Tusi. So again, our organized crime group is just out there working 24/7 to keep our community safe.
So it may have been a tip from someone in the neighborhood, or
this here, while I can't start with the exact information on where it came from, we do take all tips seriously. And so whether it be a neighborhood tip or a long working informant that gives us information, we take all information seriously and vet it thoroughly.
La mezcla que encontraron adentro de la casa es esta droga que comentabas.
No, la droga de Tusi es algo que nosotros encontramos ayer en otro caso, pero ya nosotros les comento eso nomás para decirles que ahorita estamos viendo cosas diferentes que no hemos visto típicamente. Por ejemplo, aquí están mezclando heroína y metanfetamina. Eso no es algo que vemos regularmente. Entonces, pues nos da pendiente por qué lo están haciendo. Esta otra droga, Tusi, que nosotros hemos encontrado, dicen que es cocaína rosada en color, pero es algo que no vemos frecuentemente. Pero ya nosotros les puedo apostar que nosotros los vamos a seguir viendo casos así con más frecuencia, desafortunadamente.
¿La persona arrestada pertenece a alguna organización?
Bueno, no se sabe si él es miembro en alguno de los carteles, pero más que seguro que tanta droga así en un lugar, más que seguro que va a estar involucrada cuando menos un cartel. Entonces eso vamos a seguir investigando. Sure. At present, I wouldn't be able to tell you if this gentleman that we found is a member of any certain cartel, but I can tell you, anytime you find that kind of quantity of drugs still packaged the way it was, most certainly it's going to be cartel involvement.
How would you describe that packaging?
It's in very crude-looking bundles, and so when I say kilogram, typically, going back on my undercover days, which were many years ago, usually when you say kilo, you're coming expecting to find something like in a brick form. These are not that. They're compact like you would find the kilo form, but they're very messy, irregular type shapes, and in different color packaging. Some are black, some are green. That could be for any number of reasons. Perhaps the green ones, sometimes they'll hide those within, say, a load of cucumbers, and so they'll package it in something that at a glance could be made to blend in with something like a load of cucumbers. For any variety of reasons, they package it differently. These are packaged just like that.
And would you call it a lab in there as well, or are y'all still trying to figure that out?
Well, I don't think it was a lab to the point where they were making it, but it certainly does look like they were receiving both certain kinds of drugs. For whatever reason, they were then mixing them. But yeah, we're still trying to figure out why they were mixing these two and how much of this has gotten out into the community. We were just discussing back there earlier how it happens so infrequently that the only death that we can think of, that high-profile death that occurred, is the comedian John Belushi that died decades ago. My understanding is he died as a result of using drugs like these that were mixed. So absolutely, either of these drugs is more than capable of causing a death. You start mixing them up, and really bad are going to happen.
I understand there were also weapons found in the house?
Yes, I believe we found about 7 to 9 weapons in the house, high-capacity magazines, one stolen firearm. Those weapons were up in the attic. It's possible, and this is speculation on my part, that those weapons were at some point going to be headed south. There's a big market for American firearms in Mexico, and so that's my prevailing theory at this point anyway, as those guns were heading south. They were probably stockpiling them in the attic, and at some point they were going to be headed down.
¿En español?
Sí, nosotros nos encontramos con varias armas, rifles, pistolas, escopetas que yo pienso que los estaban deteniendo aquí, juntando las armas aquí, y luego en algún momento esas armas iban a ir al sur hacia México. Es algo que pasa, que nosotros vemos muy en común en varios casos, entonces yo pienso que es lo que estaban haciendo.
Sheriff, can you talk about the impact of getting these drugs off the street? I know maybe just a small dent in the big picture, but it's
Sure.
still something. You said it was a significant amount.
Well, look, here's my take on anytime we get drugs off the street. Like I said, my undercover days are long behind me, and I worked in that world for about 10 years during my career. What I can tell you is, people say, are we winning the war on drugs? Well, while I'd love to be able to say, yes, we're winning the war on drugs, the truth is, by the numbers, we're not. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be trying. And certainly any amount of drugs that we're able to get off the street is a win for us, because that's literally that many lives saved. But when you can find this much of any type of drug together in one location, that's absolutely a win for us.
I apologize. One more time, could you go over that very first part, just real briefly?
Sure. That this morning, our organized crime group executed a search warrant here on the east side of San Antonio, and we're able to find upwards of 20 kilograms of drugs. About 15 of those kilograms are methamphetamine, and then the rest is heroin. We did find evidence that they're mixing the two drugs here at this location. At this point, we don't know why or what price they're selling it at. What I can tell you is that we're valuing approximating the street value on these drugs upwards of $500,000.
Can you tell us where the individual who's arrested? You said he's also a legal entry. What country of origin?
We believe he's a Mexican citizen. And I believe he was on the federal radar. But at this point, he's heading to the Bexar County Jail. As I understand it, the feds already know that we've got him in our custody. More than likely, they'll be putting an immigration detainer on him. And so I don't think that he'll be seeing the light of day anytime soon. The way those immigration detainers work is the feds will put that detainer on them, and then it only comes into play at the point where that person is ready to get out of jail. Whether he pays a bond or goes through trial or whatever it may be, that detainer prevents us from releasing him out into the world. And so my understanding is they're in the process of working on that detainer. Regardless, I think this is so much drugs that we found in one location in his possession. I don't think he'll be able to afford the bond to get himself out anyway, at which case that detainer will come into play.
Was there anybody else living at this house, or was it just that gentleman?
No, I think it was just him, and I think that this residence was solely being used for that purpose. I think maybe he's the only one that actually lays his head down here. But it's not a family residence, but as you can see, it's in the middle of a neighborhood where there are families. And so when you get that many drugs, that many weapons, it's certainly just ripe for something bad like a drive-by shooting to occur or a drug rip. And that's certainly not something you want here in the middle of a residential community for obvious reasons.
Did it look like they were just dealing here, or were they just mixing?
I think they were mixing and repackaging, is what I believe. But we believe that they were delivering the 2 drugs here in bulk, mixing it, and then picking it up and sending it back out.
Taking people like this off the street, what does it do to the community? How does that help them?
Oh, I mean, it's a great thing. Anytime we can get this many drugs off the street at one time, whether it be 1 arrest or 20 arrests, to me is just part of it. Anytime we get this much drugs off the street, it makes this community that much safer. Okay, thank y'all so much.
What is a drug deal? What's a drug deal?
Where another gang will come by and just steal the drugs. They'll come in and commit a robbery, a home invasion.